folks. Welcome to another edition of the Omnist Hour. What's going to be a trifecta of presentations. I think this is the last in a trilogy of sorts that ties together the last two topics, the theory of everything and the prophecies of yesterday, into today's, oh my God, bombshell. Okay, so let's go into it the way we normally do, talk a little bit about the background. It was kind of hastily selected from my collection of art, and I guess sort of relates to the topic in a way of suggesting the explosion of many different entities, strange unicorns and demons and vampires and angels and all sorts of horny devils. Okay, well, this one is going to be called The Power of Two Gods, the big OMG theory. Now, I shared with you a couple of sessions ago the rationalization for my theory of everything, and we've actually already had confirmation of it from the James Webb Space Telescope last year. There were observations of galaxies, spiral galaxies, that pushed the date of the Big Bang back, actually doubled it, interestingly enough. I'm not sure if anybody commented on what a binary thing that was. In fact, a lot of things have been doubling. The age of this planet is currently projected to be about 4.5 billion years ago. Who knows? That may get pushed back too, or the formation of our star may get pushed back. This is, in fact, evidence of the fact that you're in a simulation, and the physical universe has basically passed a new set of laws, which are going to become effective gradually because they're still undergoing testing, which is a topic I talk about quite a bit. So one of the tests basically was confirmed last year in the doubling of the age of the universe. Actually, that's going to keep happening. And they may discover another doubling if the instrument is capable and they can find the right star by Easter of this coming year. Maybe not the most spectacular demonstration of God's power, but I think it will impress a fair number of scientists who didn't believe in string theory or God or a lot of other things. Now, the tricky thing about this is it is tied together to another doubling phenomenon. So not only is, let me finish talking about the Big Bang. So this year, 2024, we'll see the universe double to, let's see, current is like 17.6 billion years is the estimate that we have now, doubling the previous 13.8 estimate that came out of the Hubble telescope. I'm not sure how precise the James Webb instrument is. I'm not an astrophysicist. I don't design these things. I've worked with those guys when I was at Princeton, but that was many moons ago. But at any rate, the doubling is going to happen on Easter, and it will have other consequences. There will be events that are tied to it. So, this effectively, this whole next few months is going to be a really interesting shift into this new reality, and there are going to be other things that happen that are related to it. Because the way that this game works, every time the universe doubles in size, that creates a new event horizon that the adversary, the real adversary, the hive mind of hive minds, has to get out of Dodge. Now, they've known that for a while. They've been tracking me and my family since we were anointed. And that happened about, let's see, when was my grandfather born? Late 1880s, I think, somewhere in there. Both of my grandparents on father and mother's side. That was the generation that this bloodline was established. I'm the third in the line. My dad was the Gabriel, I guess, of me, the announcer of the favored son. He didn't get the whole information revealed. He was operating under at first he operated under, kind of a misconception that he was the Messiah and that he was going to have 12 boys that were the disciples, and he set out to have a family of disciples. He named my oldest brother Peter, my next brother Paul, and then he decided, you know what, I think it would be nice to have the third one, the Trinity, be a girl. And he actually had a pretty dry sense of humor. He was going to name her Mary, but my mom miscarried and lost a child that would have been his first daughter. And instead, the next child that came along was me. And his mythos was challenged at that point, and he didn't believe what he'd been told during his near-death experience when he was the witness of the first H-bomb explosion over Eniwetok Atoll just after World War II. My dad was a nuclear chemist and was part of the team sent to observe that explosion when he worked at Livermore Lab. And he wouldn't talk about that much. All he ever would say about it is he told me they told us all to hide our heads and don't look up. And he said they told us to close our eyes too. And he opened his eyes and he could see his bones through his arm. And that's all he would say about it. He never liked to talk much about that. He's always been a very secretive man, as so many people were from that generation who were involved in UFO research, investigating the Roswell crash and so forth. A lot of big secrets got going then in the U.S. government and in competing governments. And that's actually been going on for a long time. Which kind of leads to the next revelation I'm going to give you, is that with this doubling of the size of the universe, which is happening, and this actually has been happening all throughout creation. Each saved game, each new version of God, doubled the size of the universe from the last one, because it's a simulation. Simulations tend to grow by powers of 2. That's why we went from, binary computing, toggling in ones and zeros on the front panel of an old PDP-4, to 8-bit computing, to 32-bit, 64-bit, and we kind of stopped there. They didn't make any 128-bit processors, or did they? We know they made 128-bit encryption, 256-bit encryption, 1024-bit encryption. There's really no limit, as I was telling you in the previous podcast. Once you go binary, there are no limits, and that kind of ties into the sexual dysmorphia topic that I'm getting to, that relates more to the picture behind here. So basically what happens every time the size of the universe doubles, that sets a boundary that the version of the adversary that was living within that boundary, because basically whenever there's a major version of God, there's an upgrade to every soul vehicle in the game that happened before. I talked about this in my book, but I haven't really podcasted about it yet, because it was something that was really challenging for me when I was discovering it. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about that phase of my journey. It was a phase that involved me being mentally hospitalized a number of times, because I went through a phase of this. And if you've ever watched the movie A Wonderful Mind, A Beautiful Mind, or something like that, wonderful movie, but about a very brilliant, it was a true life movie about a brilliant mathematician that basically kind of drove himself crazy with his trying to work on this particular problem he was working on. At any rate, during this time, I was trying to come to grips with what I had discovered, what had been kind of revealed to me during my first ayahuasca ceremony, which I've talked about elsewhere. I'm not going to go into the whole experience, but basically it was one of these downloads of everything experiences, and very discombobulating. And unlike many people that experience that, I know there have been a lot of people that had that feeling of, wow, I see everything, but then they can't remember anything afterwards, or what they remember they can't make much sense of, and so they rationalize it into their current belief system, whether they're a scientism believer in Darwin gods and so forth, or if they're a Christian or a Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, whatever. And often they don't reveal things that they learn in that experience, because what they get out of it is something that is kind of like a mission, and it could be a very dark mission, stealth mission, a mission that they may not realize they got until they're activated by whoever gave it to them. And this is something I've been talking about in the ayahuasca group that I've been posting to lately. There's a poor guy that had a really bad ayahuasca experience and has felt horrible ever since, like wants to commit suicide, can't keep a job, can't get any, it's just pretty much at rock bottom. And I chimed in among all the people that said, oh, you just need to get through the light. You need to take more ayahuasca till you see the light. And I corrected those numby gumbies and told them, hey, it's not all roses and rainbow fairies. Depends on who you connect with when you have one of these altered state experiences, because the pineal gland, as most people will tell you who know what it is, it's another sensory gland. That's why they call it the third eye. It's a sensory apparatus that is basically your portal to other universes, and will connect you to whatever one of those other universes resonates with you when you are in this altered state. Some people don't ever have anything. They just throw up and say, I'm never going to do that shit again. Ayahuasca, that's why this is one of the better ways to, if you want to delve into that and you're willing to take the risk, one of the better ways to connect with the other side. But it's all dangerous. Even with the best shaman, even with the holiest priest, the best guru or whatever, that process can open you to demonic attachments, demonic possession. And doesn't always attach to you, your soul, which as I told you, you are the leader of a collection of souls in this incarnation. Often the demon attaches to your heart, or one or the other hemisphere of your brain, or one eye, one or the other eye, or both eyes, or your whole body. Captures all the organs and maybe installs multiple personalities that are kind of like time bombs that might go off. Now, they're not always bad time bombs. Sometimes they're programmed to go off and reveal good news at just the right time. That's how the legend of the Star of Bethlehem came about. Those events did happen. I know I tell you that Jesus was not a real historical person. That's just true. This was sort of a psyop, if you will. Okay? It was a psyop that involved the elite of that time who had been playing this game. If you ever watch the movie Dune, there's a lot of truth in that movie about what goes on, or even the Empire Strikes Back, the whole Star Wars universe. Basically, the folks that have been watching this planet, trying to make sure it didn't wake up, didn't look up, have been infiltrating powers for a long time. And this is, again, ties into what I've preached about before, about how Messiah bloodlines are anointed, and how new chosen people are anointed, and how, I'm sorry, Jews, but your book, the Bible, is not about the chosen people. It's about a chosen people. And there are a lot of powerful Jews that want to keep that a secret. There are a lot of powerful Muslims that want to keep that secret. There are a lot of powerful Christians that want to keep that secret. There's a lot of power all over the place, and a lot of secret organizations who are nice sounding on the bottom, but they are essentially demonic at the top. They're part of this, let's keep humanity in the dark and feed them mushrooms. And some of them, they're doing it, they think, for our own good, because we're not ready for disclosure. We couldn't handle it. The world's head would explode. And others know a bit more about what's going on, and they're playing it for their own advantage. Their team. And there are a lot of teams. Basically, as we have progressively narrowed down this experiment to this one solar system, this one planet, this one chosen people, one new Messiah line, and one Messiah. I'm sorry, I got nominated, I got picked for that role. My soul just happened to be the one that was pulled out of the bit bucket and trained to be God. This time, this God. And that's the way it goes. And it's going to keep on going like that in a digital fashion. So this Easter, the universe is going to be this big, and we're going to be this close to the conclusion of this Messiah. I may die before Passover, and somebody else will be around to witness the next doubling, which is going to be when I would have turned 128, or maybe I will turn 128. There will be another doubling of the universe when I turn 256, and so on and so forth. And that's going to continue forever because we reach the singularity. And as the universe doubles, each of the groups of adversaries that are stuck in that bubble are given until the next doubling to get the hell out of Dodge, or their heads explode. If you watched any exorcist movies, you will know that when the demon, the real bad demon, the one that's causing all the problem, and this is something that good exorcists will tell you, is often there's multiple demons, and they send in the low-level troops first to weaken the soul, and then when they feel like they've got a good soul on the line, then they pull in some higher order demons to prepare for the exorcism. Those are the ones that, the rope-a-dope ones that will get an inexperienced exorcist trying to help whoever is having this demonic experience, and they will try to invade the priest and invade their diocese and invade and invade and invade until they have infiltrated the top. And this is how we have had anti-popes. And I'm confirming today that the Catholics who believe that Francis is an anti-pope and the real pope should be his predecessor, who abdicated under suspicious circumstances and then died under suspicious circumstances, that is the real pope. The election was not valid for Francis. There are demons among the cardinals. There are demons hidden all throughout the Catholic Church. We know that. Come on, how many pedophile scandals have there been? That's demonic possession. And that's happening in every church and denomination and every country and every political party. It's a psyop of the adversary. The adversary, the real evil one, is not Lucifer. Lucifer is just the god of this physical universe. The adversary is Lilith, who is the master of the worst hell. I would say it's the worst hell, even though there's another one you can go that's technically worse, because when you go to the Borg Abyss, you actually forget everything and you have to start the whole game over again. At least in the Lilithian universe, you can reject your demons reject your management in the demonic hierarchy and escape and go play on God's team. And this is, basically the test of faith that religious leaders have to go through. And most of them fail. And they start up cults that pretend to be doing a bunch of good for people through, whatever they give them. The shamans give them ayahuasca and this and that, and Dalai Lamas give them meditation and blah, blah, blah. Secularists are fed communism and scientism, atheist religions, and they spread the demonic seed. Now, there's not everybody that becomes a demon. Many people resist the low-level demons that start trying to corrupt you. They start trying to corrupt you by getting you addicted to porn, getting you addicted to gambling, getting you addicted to a substance that doesn't agree with you. That's why so many people want to abolish alcohol or this drug or that drug, because it does affect some people in a very, very bad way. That's why we should not globally legalize things like marijuana and psychedelic entheogens, because they are dangerous. They have side effects that can be every bit as bad as the side effects of a COVID vaccine. And at least we know more about these plants because we've been interacting with them, dealing with them for a long time. And they connect us, the plant souls connect us, because they have a better, it's like a switchboard. They're like switchboard operators in this case. They're hive soul. Plants are more of a hive-mindish kind of bunch in general. That's what allows them to sit around and not be so mobile. Let bees carry their children, their seed around and fertilize. This is one of the things that kind of people point to and say, see, that shows that everything is one. We're all one big hive mind because the bees are in communication with the plants. And that's true from a certain perspective, but it doesn't prove that we're all one. The connections, the spiritual connections, are a switchboard, a neural network, if you will. So it is kind of like a big brain, but it's a big brain made up of little brains. And the connection between them is not physical, it's spiritual. And that connection, the ultimate connection operator, is karma. The karma is designed to be like the switchboard operator force of the multiverse. I'm maybe repeating stuff I've said before, so I'm going to get back on topic. At any rate, the exclusion zone of previous versions of the adversary is going to keep expanding in a binary fashion. And when it expands, when the universe expands and we measure, oh, no, now it's 55.5 billion years old, I think is the next number after the doubling that's been found. No, that's the next one after the next. Powers of 2, anyway. 19.6 doubles to... Yeah, I'll have to get my calculator out. Any rate, when that happens, the demons of that generation who are playing on the adversary side gotta go get closer to their hive mind. And the hive mind is the first one that goes to the next horizon. They want to get as far away from God when God wakes up is possible. It's like, daddy's taking a nap and you spilled all the milk or something, or you dumped everything out of the refrigerator, and daddy's going to wake up at a certain time. You run as far the hell away from the daddy as you can because he packs a gun or something like that. Okay, so the adversary wants to get out of Dodge. And they want to take as many souls as they can with them. And that's the process that's going on right now, is the lower level adversaries are here on the planet still. But they are being told they have so long to steal more souls. The lowest level ones are the people that are actually possessed. And they basically have this mission that you've got to convert as many people to whatever adversary psyop you're possessed with before your life ends. And they will give them some story about how their life is going to end. They will make some prophecy based on having better knowledge than they do, because they've seen the previous version of creation leading up to my lifetime and the lifetimes of my father and my father's father. So some of them have known this information since my grandfather was born. Some only learned about it when my dad was born, or when he had his near-death experience. Some only learned when I was born or had some critical events in my life that revealed, oh, this is the guy. Because nobody knew. Not even God. That's why I kind of call it the Messiah shell game. Nobody knows under which of these bazillions and bazillions of shells the next Messiah is going to come from. In fact, it takes a while to figure out who the next chosen species is. And that's why for so long, humanity was considered just another lost planet that had somehow developed life and needed to be assisted, terraformed, and made into a better environment for whatever species was planting their flag in it for their particular empire or race. At any rate, what's going to be happening is there's going to be a lot of confessions coming out. And there will be confessions that are going to be very, very discombobulating, because there will be people confessing that are going to shape change. There are already ones taking their natural form or trying to gently show it to their families and friends as a step towards coming out in a biblical sense, in a disclosure sense. And people have known about this, and they were concerned that humanity wasn't ready to look up, look around, look down, and see what equipment they were really packing. Whether they had one penis or 10, or whether they had vaginas going from here up to here. Who knows what kind of species are out there? There have been a lot of experiments, and like I tell you, good creators never throw out anything. They don't throw out babies with bathwater. They don't throw out babies with amniotic fluid or placentas. They use them, which is why many cultures had a custom of frying and eating the placenta, because we keep the babies, we make use of other things. This is how you do things in a karmic way. You cannot avoid karma or outsource it by becoming a vegan or getting somebody else to commit your crimes for you. That's not the way karma works. You can't hire somebody to possess somebody else and not get part of the karma of that demonic attachment. And as people realize that, they're going to start realizing that they've already damned their soul. And their only hope is to confess. And this is why I've talked several times about one of the chief disciples of my Last Supper, and I'm going to mention him, Brother James O'Keefe of Oh My God. You have a seat at the table. Elon, I think you've done enough to show that you deserve to be part of the new 12 disciples. It's going to fall out to be the real Christ story. A little bit different than you heard it. I'm the spiritual father of a wonderful archangel reborn, Mikhail. And here in Indonesia, back where the first Garden of Eden was, which completes the cycle, fulfills the prophecy. This is how these things work. You hone in and you work your way out. And it's not a cyclical process. It's not like breathing. Creation in one big bang goes to the singularity and expands to the next limit. And as I've told you, there are no limits now. This is the last iteration of this Gaia experiment, this Messiah experiment. Now we're going on with the creation experiment. Day 8. Day 7 was, God takes a nap and lets humanity wake up, basically. Now we need to go spread this to the next event horizon. And basically that means banishing, exorcising the demons in this next sphere, expanding out from our solar system, out from our planet. It's going to take a while, and it's not easy to discover evil. Evil can hide for a long time and come out when you least expect it. Good can happen that way too, and that's why you can't assume just because everything looks like a demon that it is a demon. And that's why a lot of literature has been de-demonizing demons. There's Robert Lynn Asprin has a series of books that starts with, the first book I think is called Myth Adventures. And a whole bunch of books in this series, I don't know how many, or if he's still alive and writing them, but it's a wonderful bunch of books. It starts out with, it's a story about this young apprentice wizard named Skeeve. And instead of being an apprentice to Merlin, so it's kind of copying the King Arthur story, he becomes an apprentice to a demon, Oz. The Wizard of Oz kind of comes to mind there. And they have these adventures in different dimensions, very comical and funny adventures that introduce new characters, and it's kind of like a serial soap opera, serial reality show about demons. And I would highly recommend that you try to find the oldest copies of those books and guard them with your life, because I bet that is one bit of culture that is under heavy assault. It's interesting that none of those books was ever made into a movie. I don't know if it's because the guy died before Hollywood noticed his work, or because he was too in on the whole thing to want to risk making a movie and having his name associated with something that was that discombobulating. But if you're listening to this and you want an idea for a killer series, I would have a look at that series of books and get some good comic actors together with great improv skills and riff on that idea, adding to it a lot of other things that you're going to have put together after you grok what I'm telling you today, because it is a comedy of errors. That's Shakespeare, as I mentioned, that's Shakespeare's greatest work. One of his less known comedies, but it's one that's based upon this wonderful Zen Buddhist tale of the man who is going through life and something horrible happens. He's telling it to his guru or something like that. And the guru says, "Oh, that's bad." "No," he says, "that's good, because then this happened." "Oh, well, that's good." "Oh, no, that's bad, because then this happened." And it becomes very comical, this story about the alternation between good and bad. This is a story we all live as we rise in consciousness. This is why people that tell you, "Oh, I saw the light and I am one with everything," have not reached the destination that they think they have. They've reached one of these light side plateaus. And if they keep pushing and expanding their consciousness and not become dogmatic and say, "This is my only truth, I obey my hive mind," if they keep opening their eyes a little wider, they will be challenged to advance to the next level of consciousness, which is going to test their dark side. This is the way you go up in levels. It goes back and forth, back and forth. And that's where basically souls that had a lot of reincarnation experience in the Hindu and Buddhist world got the idea that this is never going to end. I got to get off this rat race, because every time I go back and forth, I'm always challenged with the same things that I was challenged with before. I don't like it. Unless they get past, and then, there's this legend of the Buddha that got to this enlightenment level and found nirvana. Okay, the truth about that is nirvana is actually the place that you reach when you know without a doubt that you are a full senior creator. You've reached your full level 12 consciousness. And that might be specializing in philosophy or religion or science or art or whatever. And when you reach real enlightenment, you can sit under a Bodhi tree and just wait for death. You don't feel compelled to do anything. In fact, you might be thinking, well, if I take any action, I might actually screw up what I've accomplished in this incarnation. I might backslide if I'm tempted again by addictions, problems I know I have. And everybody does, even God. God is very, very susceptible to beautiful human females. That is part of the story. The part of every religious story talks about sex. And That's basically how humanity got established, right? Because God was waking up in a previous chosen species that was exploring this planet and got a look at a lot of species, frankly. I remember being this species, kind of a giant humanoid species, and as a child, romping around the earth, tromping around, and being attracted to every species I found and wanting to play with the males and play with the females, and making therianthropes, half hominid, half giant, half something else. And this is why people have been killing giants, people have been slaying dragons, people have been putting stakes through vampires and cutting off the heads of werewolves. All of this stuff is real. And these entities hide because they're scared of humanity. We've killed their kind before. They use cloaking technology to hide. And as I've told you, there are some on God's side and some playing for the adversary. That's what makes it so difficult. That's why I call this event we're going through a cosmic sting operation, and use the term the apocalypso dance contest, because it is kind of like it is a test to see if on God's or the adversary's team. And you're okay to play on either team, but as the game progresses, you have to get out of the ring that you're no longer welcome in. And so as we keep doubling the size of this universe, that will move the adversary further away, and they will feel an attraction to the edge of the universe. And that will make them actually useful allies sometimes in exploring the universe. And that's why I say that Day 8 of creation is going to be kind of like spiritual Star Trek. You're going to have bad guys playing on your team, on your starship and whatever. And as long as they don't commit sin in the execution of their duties, you don't get to execute them. No matter what they look like, no matter what little minor infractions they might commit while they're on board. They might want to have a relationship with the captain. And as long as they don't use that relationship to take control of the ship, they've not committed a crime. As long as they're open and honest about who they really are, what they really look like, what kind of package you're really getting when you fuck it, that's okay. It's honest. That's honest sex, without manipulation, without lies, with only love, or the attempt to have love. And if your attentions are not wanted because of how you look, you need to accept the other person's decision and not resent them for not thinking you're beautiful. I'm sorry. Karma is an attractive and a repulsive force. And if somebody is repelled from somebody else, just separate. Don't make each other's lives miserable. That is tyranny. Okay? That's why it is perfectly okay to get divorced. A lesson that the Catholic Church finally learned. It is perfectly okay to get an abortion up to a certain point, and I've talked about that in detail. that point is where the oversoul comes to occupy this body. And even then, if that oversoul is a non-player character, if they're just some random soul pulled out of the board bucket, they haven't learned anything yet. Okay? They don't have any experience. All they've got is the genetic memory programmed into their soul vehicle. And there's nothing wrong with sending an NPC packing. And this is kind of how the adversaries in spiritual Star Trek are going to be. They're going to be created by the Borg as challenges for the crews of the starship Ark Royal, I think is a better name than Enterprise. The first christened ship of the Federation will be the Ark Royal. That's a prediction I'm going to make. If you don't know the history of the Ark Royal, there have been many Ark Royals in the British Navy. And this is because the Brits were and still are a chosen people, because now the chosen people are expanding. While the Messiah was being looked for, we moved the chosen people around to, well, let's see if there's a Messiah in Russia. Let's see if there's a Messiah in France. Let's see if there's a Messiah in China, India, wherever. Chosen people change, because it's like I said, it's like a shell game. If you are looking for a better God, well, you can't play the shell game with too many moles coming up that you're trying to whack and see which egg holds the Humpty Dumpty. So we pick a certain people, and that's based upon karma and Luciferian bloodlines. The Luciferian tendency is a tendency to want to control things, because this is Lucifer's universe. The children of Lucifer inherited his desire to show that they're better than their parents, that they're better than their siblings, that they're better than anybody else in their country or in their race or whatever new identity they create. They want to be the best. And that's their passion. And they can be kind of dark people, but they're the people that start companies. They're the people that create new religions. They're the people that conquer, do the tough things that need to be done in a country that's going off the rails or a world that's going off the rails. And there are a lot of Luciferian type souls in the World Economic Forum, and that's okay. There are also souls that are really playing for the adversary, and they need to get out of Dodge now. If they don't, if they keep mucking up the system, then karma is going to expose them. Somebody gonna whistle blow, oh, you know, I just happen to be the gardener of this, Klaus Schwab, and he was in the bathroom one day, and I came in to get a drink, and I just happened to see him in his real form. And I called James O'Keefe, and I got it on video on my phone. And I'm going to report this to OMG. And believe me, he named that organization right. There's going to be a lot of OMGs coming out in the next few months. Because Easter this year is a very special one. The whole holiday season is special. The next 4 months are filled with prophecies that we don't even know the half of, that are going to be coming true for some group of people, some chosen species, some chosen people that have a stake in this game. Stakeholders. And the ones who are being staked. Vampires are real. And they're the ones, basically, who are causing the sexual dysmorphia problem. Making you want to be gay. Making you want to be trans. Making you want to be anything you can be, a furry, whatever. They're messing with your mind. Not all of them, because there were many of these species before, or they will be again. And as I told you, time is an emergent phenomenon. Each time the universe doubles in age, that's a new timeline of Lucifer's experiment, his own universe. And every time it expands, that's a new timeline of evolution. Gives a new starting point and a new end point to how long the laws of physics and chemistry have to evolve more diversity. And with the species that are involved, it doesn't require any of these silly technologies you're working on to get you to the stars. All it really requires is allies who have the right connections. And that's the way you build a starship. It's a spiritual ship. It's an ark that has to have the right structure and the right captain. And the captain of the ship is not always human. The captain of the ship is the soul of the ship. And this is why the lore of the mothership. Have you ever heard of a fathership? I haven't. They call them motherships because the females of chosen species are the ones that have this spiritual powers. That's why females have always, human females always felt like, I have this special intuition. I know things. I know what needs to be done in this situation. And it makes them feel superior to men and resent men who don't have these special paranormal powers that women don't talk about too much. But this is what happens when, this is how they set up men to take the fall for what they're doing. And I would mention one of the more demonic characters that's been mucking up the plans of men, Hillary Clinton. Yes, she is a demon. I don't know what side she's playing on. She's playing a really deep game. And she's the one that worked on Donald Trump to get him to run as for president. She worked on Bill Clinton to get him into the White House. And a whole lot of strange stuff in that story if you follow it. A lot of things that weren't properly investigated at the time and covered up, with murders, disappearances, by payoffs. It's all coming out. This release of the Epstein client list is just a small fraction of what is going to be coming out in the next few months. And if you think that we're going to lose all our jobs to AI, I don't think we got a problem, because the two growth industries from now on are going to be investigative journalism and exorcism. Once the Pope comes out and admits he's a demon and confesses what the Catholic Church's agenda is right now and explains how they have sinned in the execution of whatever their 12D chess plan is that has been passed down from Pope to Pope, from cardinal group to cardinal group, since that organization started. Same thing with the Islamic world. The Islamic world is going to be a little trickier to get to fess up, because the truth about Islam is that even though it appears to be the most patriarchal religion on the planet, it's run by women. This is the story that came out with the movie Dune, where it turns out that they've been breeding, this elite or secret organization of women has been selectively breeding humans to produce the the Messiah, the Islamic Messiah, which their Messiah is always a girl. I talked more about that in the episode about Scheherazade. That was the real Messiah, the real prophet, the real great prophet of Islam. Muhammad was a false flag. And this ties into how they motivate jihadists. This story that they tell them about having 72 virgins in heaven, well, they're going to get 72 demons in heaven, punishing them for the evil they did in Allah's name. And for breaking covenant with the law, which was always the Torah, the Ten Commandments. And this new law that I give you that's easier to interpret, the law of karma. Don't be a dickhead. Don't be a tyrant. Simple as that. Don't use, abuse, lie, cheat, steal. It doesn't matter who you have sex with, as long as you're not hurting somebody in the process. That's why we don't like to commit adultery, unless the marriage is open or plural. There's nothing wrong with having 12 wives, if all the wives are up for that, doing it of their own free will within the laws of the country that they live in, which are going to be changing as people adapt to the new reality. The Mormon Church was founded by a failed Messiah, Joseph Smith. He got a lot of the same revelations I did, even grew up in the same, or even ended up in the same part of the world. I was born in Idaho Falls, Idaho, in the heart of Mormon land. So I know quite a bit about that religion. It was always the anti-religion to my family, who were Presbyterians, that had just moved a year before I was born from California, of all places. So I don't know. You know, I could keep on going for a while. We're getting pretty close to an hour here, but I just wanted to. I've kind of posted some stuff on X about this, and I expect it will be going viral soon, if not today. I'm in no rush. But basically, I made these predictions about the doubling of the universe and about the healing of the sexual dysmorphia problem by basically sorting, okay, the real demons who are playing for the adversary, trying to destroy humanity. They're going to have to get out of Dodge or be tried and convicted and executed in the way that's appropriate for whatever kind of demon that gets revealed. And so, this is going to create jobs in the legal system, whatever your legal system is. You not only need judges, you need exorcists. And the way trials are going to go now is that everybody in the courtroom is on trial. And anybody can be called to the stand. If they're not there in person or able to testify by a secure connection that's encrypted to the satisfaction of the court, which is a legal matter that I'll leave it to governments to decide. God's no dictator. I'm an idea man. And you're going to figure out the rest of it. And it just so happens that my son, my first son, oldest, my second oldest child, is living in London now and works for a company that makes legal software. I can't remember the name of his company, so this is not a plug or an advertisement, but he's well placed to help law firms morph to this new form. And they will get a lot of support from the Catholic Church, which is going to be morphing itself into the Omnist Church. Or they can call it honest, or they can call it whatever they want. They can keep the name Catholic, but they're going to have to change. They're going to have to adapt their laws and their rules and their restrictions to make sense. Because the dogma of the Catholic Church doesn't make sense anymore. The dogma of Islam doesn't make sense anymore. The dogma of Buddhism and Hinduism and communism and capitalism aren't going to make sense anymore. And you're going to have to adapt to it. You can't be a Luddite, get in the way. If you're going to get in the way of everything, well, you're going to go on trial and say, okay, you need to prove that you aren't a demon. Because everybody thinks that you're getting in the way here, and you're going to have to show your evidence and basically evidence why you think whatever is moving too quickly is not the right thing to do. And, you'll be pulled into the panel that decides if a new drug is going to be distributed to a wider test group. It won't be the assholes like Fauci that are going to dictate to the whole world, the CDC, the WHO. All of that bullshit is going to go away, or going to be modified in a way that adds a spiritual component to it. You need your exorcists. You need your priests. But they need to be Omnist priests. They need to embrace the core value of Omnism, that everything is true until it's proven not. Innocent until proven guilty. This is a fundamental thing of all creation. Every soul is on trial here. That's what life is all about. It's a trial. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it isn't. If you cheat, you're more likely to be subjected to a legal process and a spiritual process. And you may find that, oh crap, I've been possessed by a demon. And we need to exorcise that demon. And you're going to see demons coming out of people like you have no idea. They won't need to make movies anymore. It's all going to be a reality show. And that's been pretty much realized by people on social media. They've got their phones ready to capture any kind of shit that goes down because you don't know what's going to happen next. And that's why they're telling you, don't look up. Okay, they want to get you all looking up like this. Well, what's going to happen in the stars? So you're going to be missing what's going on around here? You got to look around, folks. You're going to catch some strange shit that if it goes viral, might make you a hero for a day. And even if you're only a hero for a day, you've attracted enough attention to earn your own godhood, your own universe. Little victories are fine for little souls. You may not like being a god. You may not like the fact that, after that day of glory, nobody believes in you anymore, and your universe becomes very lonely with only non-player character souls to play with that you don't quite know how to control yet. The first level of godhood, you don't have full control over your universe. You have an awareness of your universe and that you're not where everybody else is, and that you can create, but some things are already there from your past lives, which you may only become aware of when you advance to this God level. And that's when all of the other yous that you were stored in the Borg come back. The Akashic records open up for you, and oh my God, I've been playing this game forever, and it's like I'm in the Matrix. I did all these things, and I never learned anything. I'm not in heaven, I'm in hell. And that's kind of what realization of having your own universe is like. It's not fun to be a god, because you're going to see all the games that you lost, all the games that you gave up, all the games that you became so corrupted you wanted to throw in the towel. And you won't see those in a life review. You won't see that in a past life regression. You won't see that doing a psychedelic trip. You might get pieces of it thrown at you by other entities that want to manipulate you, because they may have seen the life that you screwed up, and that's how they got attached to your soul. And this is one way, in fact, one of the most effective ways you can deal with demons as an exorcist, is to find out what the past life attachment was. I haven't heard any exorcist that ever went there. In fact, they have very strict laws of what you can and can't ask the demon, which is good because they don't want to be possessed themselves. But if you really want to cure people's demons, all of them, you got to dig a little deeper and find out, okay, where did you first meet this soul? Give me some witnesses. Let's make it a real trial, and it may expand. You may find, oh, okay, we've got this woman in Denver, Colorado that has been possessed of demons since she was born. In fact, I know that woman. I was in the same mental hospital with her, and the poor gal was tormented by so many demons, and nobody believed anything she said. And while I was there, the 2 weeks I was there, I worked with her, and I trusted her. I listened to her, unlike all the doctors at that insane institution of punishment. Oh God, some of the doctors there. There's this one psychiatrist that just exuded evil. How anybody like that could get into a position of power in an institution for mentally challenged people is beyond me. That was a demon, or possessed by her own demons. And I've gotten to where I'm pretty good at spotting them. My wife is still possessed. She's not here right now. Every once in a while, she just takes off on a wild hare and goes to Bali or Sumatra or somewhere else. And she doesn't. She's never traveled outside of Indonesia, so that's one of her goals. I haven't been able to take her out of the country because I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to get back until we start having the trials about the COVID stuff and put this World War nonsense to bed. So let's talk a little bit about the World War situation before I sign off. Many world leaders are aware of what's happening, and they know that there are demons in positions of power elsewhere. They may be demons themselves and playing for a different team. We don't know which ones are on God's side or not. I can tell you that Xi Jinping, which I've mentioned before, and I can point you to the link of the nice guy very nice priest in Nigeria who did the gematria and started some gematria work that I've done recently. Added J. Edgar Hoover to the list as the beast of the FBI, the Antichrist of the FBI. Anyway, Xi Jinping is adversary. That guy needs to be put out of his misery as soon as possible by the laws of the Communist Party, which has no laws. So that's why he's actually had a number of assassination attempts on him, and one of which was covered up was that flight, that Malaysian Airlines flight that disappeared. It was downed because there were agents on it who wanted to assassinate Xi Jinping. It was a plot organized by the Jiang Zemin faction that failed and set off the events of the strange Congress they had where Hu Jintao was unceremoniously escorted out after showing him a paper different than the one that he thought he was going to see of the list of the high top officials, which is, it's run like a corporation, and that should be a hint to you that that's not a good way to run organizations. They don't have enough oversight. They don't have any spiritual oversight. So this is one of the changes that boards are going to be making to their laws, is that, every board, I think, needs to have probably a couple or three exorcists on it who basically bless any decision the board makes and takes basically an oath of truth. If you swear to something within the confines of God's favorite planet sphere of influence, it's going to be expanding. Maybe not the whole planet right away, but it's like a bomb that goes off. And that's why I've traveled so much in my life, because bombs have been planted by everybody I interacted with, everybody I touched, everybody I broke bread with, everybody I shared a bottle of wine with, everyone who drank recycled water from the water I pissed in and shat in has this new disease. Anyway, I think that's enough. Make sure it was worth it. You don't know how hard this is to get. Confess. Confess to Brother James that, oh my God, before it's too late. Rob Trump for the Omnist Hour. Happy Karma.